Hello, everyone. I almost want to say Happy New Year again because I'm not sure who could join last time or not, and it was in person, so I know a lot of people weren't able to make it, and I don't know how many people were able to join online because I was kind of managing the room and the screens and all of that. So Happy New Year to the ones I haven't seen, and then let me share my screen. We'll get started. 1 second. Okay. Let me know when you can see my screen.
Yep.
Good to go.
All right. Okay. Well, welcome back to the ones joining us again. Today is session 5 of 8, so we're a little bit more halfway done. And if you missed last session, we built a reusable intelligence AI system through custom GPT. So I hope that you have explored that on your own and you've played around with it. Today, we're going to explore what automations are. And I'm super excited for automations because they make our simple tasks and our day-to-day super easy. So how many of you, just give me a thumbs up, are familiar with automations or have had played around with AI automations? Perfect. Okay. Hey, Nishat, I see you. All right. Well, for those that are new to automations are initially, technically, it's not an intelligence unless you add to it, but we'll get to that later. But what I want to focus on is that automations are a set of rules, and they're set on if and then scenario. That's the structure that they're set on. So until a condition is met, the automation doesn't get kicked off.
Mm-hmm.
And automations are not autonomous, like I said, until that specific condition has met the need. So they are controlled, they're predictable, and they are designed by us. So we are the full CEOs when it comes to automations. We get to choose when they kick in, and we are in full control when it comes to automations. Let's talk about why they exist. Again, they save us a ton of time. So if you're finding yourself doing the same tasks over and over again, whether it's checking updates, whether it's Googling something, scanning resources, summarizing, that's all frozen time that someone on your team or you can reduce by automations. However, I do want to be clear because the narrative is still that AI will take over our jobs. It will not. Automations, the goal of automation is not to replace people. It's about removing repetitive work so humans can actually spend time on deciding and not searching or doing the same tasks over and over again. And the demo that I'll have today actually goes over an automation that I have built for one of my clients. It's not super robust as they have it, but I just want to show you what the potential of building an automation. And let's look into how automations run. So as I mentioned, automations are not autonomous. They have to be triggered. They can be triggered by an event, they can be triggered by time, or you can set up manual triggers. For event-based triggers, a certain condition has to meet. So that could look something like if someone submits a form, that can trigger an automation. Or if a new file is uploaded, or if you receive a new message. And then time-based triggers, they run on schedule, which is perfect if you are doing something that requires regular updates, like I need summary every morning, or give me the top 5 articles for XYZ every week. So that's all time-based triggers. And then we have manual triggers that are useful for testing or intentional runs early on. So once you choose a trigger, you can decide the rhythm of that specific automation. And then let's talk about what do we need for an automation to work, right? So we need a full-on scenario. We need to map out what needs to happen. So think of it kind of like a recipe. Once I have all of my ingredients, all of my appliances, what needs to be the end product? So that entire scenario needs to be mapped out. Then we have triggers that tells us when to begin the recipe. Then there are certain steps. These are actions that occur in specific orders, like fetching data from file this, file 1, transfer to file 2, summarize it, store it, notify it. So these are the entire steps of your full scenario. And then we have data. Data are like, if you're going off of the recipe cooking scenario, clearly it's dinner time and I'm hungry. You can think of data as ingredients that flow between steps. So it could be anything like text, URL, or IDs, or if you're adding an LLM to this, something like a summary. If the data is unclear, inconsistent, if it's not clean, if it's missing information, that's when the automation breaks. And this is why it's really important. And the whole idea here is not to focus on tools, because there are a number of automation tools. The real goal here is to have the design, the information, your triggers, your steps, and your data sorted out before you set any automation in any platform. And then now let's look at where the automation fits in our AI system. This probably looks familiar because this is in every slide. So when it comes to, every session. So when it comes to automation, LLM is still the brain. However, it is optional. We've talked about RAG in our first session. That's the memory that we add to any AI system. That's also optional. Then we have tools which act like hands, and these are absolutely required to run your automation. And then automation is the layer. It's the space that decides when the tool should run, if the brain and the memory should be used. So it creates that space for the workflow to run. We'll talk about agents in a later session, but today automation is fully humanly controlled as everything AI related, and we definitely need tools and rules to run this automation. And wow, that went by super fast. We're going to dive into building a real automation. Again, this is an example of something that one of my client uses, and what they use it for is they aggregate their market research. So the goal of this automation is they have a number of resources. They run it on a daily basis. So it is time-based as opposed to event-based. So it runs every morning. What it does, it scans through all of ed tech related, any news, any updates, and then it automatically summarizes all of the articles and emails that to them. So they're saving a lot of time of actually going in, researching each article, going to all different resources. They get an email if anything new has been produced into their inbox. I think they have it at like 8 a.m. every morning. So let's look into that. And if you didn't receive a quick email from me, I shared a link for make.com. If you want to follow along, feel free to create an account. It's absolutely free. Let me actually get on their main page. Has anybody used make.com here? Actually, on the call, I'm curious.
Mm-mm.
Okay. So make.com, again, it's an automation tool. I specifically chose this platform because I think it's user-friendly as opposed to the other ones, but there are a number of other platforms. So when you log into make.com, you want to navigate to create a scenario. You can do that here, or you can do that here. One thing, that I do want to point out is when you do exploremake.com is if you go to templates, and this will be part of your play work. They already have pre-built templates here. And if you hover over, they'll tell you what exactly this automation is intended to run. Let's just click on maybe like a simple one. Okay, there we go. I'll walk you through by creating a brand new automation from start, but you can actually modify this as well. You can add different modules here, create a connection. So this is a really great way to play around and learn and test automations without you having to think through anything. But let's dive into creating a brand new automation. So you want to go to scenarios, and then you want to click on either, they'll take us to the same place, either create scenario or open scenario builder. And this is why I feel like this is very user-friendly. So you have to pick how to start your workflow. So my client, they have, I think they have like a number of resources, but for today's example, I will just pick like one RSS feed here. So again, you click here, you can actually look for apps. And then what we want to do is we want to receive data from RSS feed. So all I did was I plugged in RSS here and I clicked on this. And then I plug in the URL and I paste it here. And let me actually also throw this in the chat in case someone is following along. And I'll also, while I'm at it, throw the other URL as well, because we'll add two in this workflow. Okay, so you plug in the RSS feed that you want information from, and then it gives you an option from what date, like where do you want to start this? So let's say we want our automations to start from tomorrow morning onwards. I don't really want it to be an end date yet, so I'm going to leave this blank. And then maximum number of returns. For example's sake, I'll just do one. So just like email me one summary. And then I click on save. Now we talked about setting this event-based. So here you'll notice a clock. And if I want this to trigger every morning, so I'll click on here and I will select, I want it every day at, let's do 8 a.m. 8 a.m., click save. And then it's not scheduled yet, so we'll do not yet. And then I'll add my other RSS feed as well. And again, we want to retrieve data. We'll add in the other URL. This should be in our chat. And again, we'll start this from tomorrow morning or tomorrow. Okay. Actually, I need to change this to AM here. And then one here, save. Let me go back and also change this to, sorry, I'm making changes so it actually runs at 7 a.m. tomorrow. Okay. So I've added my resources here. Now, the next step is that I want to make sure that the resources are summarized. So here is where I would add my LLM, because again, if we want our automations to think, an automation platform will need to be connected to an LLM. So if you want any sort of thinking done, we're going to have to connect an LLM here. So I'll add here another module. By now, you all know that I like ChatGPT, so I'm going to put OpenAI. And then you click on your OpenAI here. And we just want simple response. Okay. Then we get to click our model, text prompt. What we want is actually, no, sorry, I'm going to go back here, cancel. This is a great way to show you how to delete something. So I want to start over for this module. So all I have to do is have to right click it and delete module and click here. I'm going to put OpenAI. And then what I want to do is I actually want to get a response. And when I get this response, so what's happening here is I'm getting all of my resources. And then I want this LLM to give me a response. And then I want that to be emailed to me. So then I want to clear, once I've added the OpenAI connection here, I have to click on this. And this is where I won't fully complete this because I will need an API key. And as soon as I run this, it's going to charge me for building, but I do want to show you that. So an API key is, think of it as like connecting two different tools together. So I will, if I wanted my OpenAI ChatGPT to be connected to make.com or any other automation tool like N8N or what is it, Mind Studio, my OpenAI account, I can generate an API key. And that API key is specific to this connection. All I would have to do is put in that API key here and click save. But we can completely skip this part if we don't want the summary. Please know that we only add an LLM when we want our automation to think or summarize anything or update anything. So we can completely skip this part and this automation will still work. What I can do here again is I would come here, delete this module. I can add an email module. And then what I want to do is I want to get an email. Here I would choose my Google account, and I believe this is already, should be already synced. Criteria is unread email, and then I would put in my email address here. Put at home and save it. Oh, I have a bunch of these. So this is Gmail. Okay, I have to like actually connect my account here again. So I won't fully connect my account because I don't actually, in reality, I don't want this automation to run. But if I were to set this automation, what it would do is based on our timer, it would go through both of these resources and send me all of these articles. They would be emailed to me. If I added the LLM component, it would actually, I would have to connect my LLM through an API key, and then I would have to type it in my instructions that go through both of RSS1 and RSS2, review all the articles, and give me a summary, and that will be emailed to me. And that is pretty much how a very simple automation would work. I want to open the floor to discuss something that you feel like you could automate in your day-to-day, or if you want to explore different templates together. Again, make.com is really user-friendly, and it also has some preset automations that you could just copy and paste and then just add in and connect your accounts or your email or your OpenAI or any other tools that you are, any other LLM that you're using into these existing pre-built automations. And that is pretty much today's session. Like I said, there is a lot of play work because I actually want you to go to any automation platform. I'm happy to share a list. I personally recommend make.com because it's user-friendly, it's drag and drop. But go ahead and explore the pre-created template by them, and play around. Connect your Google accounts, your G Sheets, Google Sheets, documents, the LLMs that you use, and just play around with them. Just remember that if you are connecting any sort of LLM, you're going to need an API key. And as long as that automation is running, it will be charged. So it shouldn't be too much, but depends on how much, what your workflow looks like. And make.com also allows you to run at least 1,000 times for free every month. So if you're just getting started, this is super user-friendly, and it replenishes every month as well. And that is a short and sweet overview of what automations are and how they work. Someone has a question: is Zapier similar to make.com? It is, yes. I prefer make.com because they're just launching like agent building. So then if you get familiar with make.com, then when you are ready to build agents, you are already familiar with the UI. I'm not sure if Zapier has an agent building component as well. They may. I just haven't looked into it because I'm focused more on like agent building. And yes, is that hi?
Hey, Young.
Hey, Young.
Yes, I had two questions. One, in order to get the LLM, the code, you have to have a paid subscription of that service?
No, you don't. So for example, that's a very good question. So I pay for my ChatGPT, but there are free ways to use ChatGPT. When you generate an API key, if you don't have a credit card linked on your OpenAI login, if you're generating an API key, you will be required to plug in your credit card information, because as long as you are using that API key in whatever AI system, it will charge you. So you don't need the paid subscription. So think of them as completely two different products. ChatGPT is the LLM. OpenAI will want, because API is a completely different product. So you will still need to plug in your credit card information, and that'll only be charged as long as that API key, you can connect it. But if it's not being used, they won't charge anything. But if you do end up using, then your credit card will be charged.
So like if you do set up like a daily email that is the LLM is summarizing, it would charge you once a day kind of a thing.
Yes. And I think that's like pretty nominal. And that's, yeah, it will charge you. So if you have anything that's running on a specific cadence, like daily or every 15 minutes or every, I don't know, a couple times a day, yes, that your the API key will be charged to your OpenAI account.
But if you have a membership like you or a subscription, then it doesn't?
No, it still does, because that's a completely different, getting an API key through OpenAI versus using ChatGPT, they're completely different. ChatGPT, if you have the paid version of ChatGPT, you get access to like unlimited LLM prompting, and then you get access to like custom GPT and projects. Getting an API key has nothing to do with you having a paid subscription or not. You will only be charged if as used and if used.
And then my question is, like, let's say there's like 10 different emails and websites that have like media relevant experience and relevant content, but I don't necessarily want to know about like creative shops and things like that. Like I really want to know more like media things, like when accounts are moving or, you know, things like that. Like, are you able to use this to get that granular and say, hey, look at these 10 different websites that publish every day, but I only want this type of information aggregated and sent to me?
I believe so, and that's like a little bit more high level. So you could probably go into whatever automation tool that you're using and maybe block out specific words. It's not a guarantee, but that is also something that you would put in your LLM component, because that's the thinking part, right? Mm-hmm. Your resource will give you all of the resources, but then in your instruction, when you put your API key, and then you'll get a place to like write your prompt, because like what do you want to do with these resources, that's where that would go. So you can say like review all of like, out of all these summarized articles that are coming through, I only want information on X, Y, and Z. Maybe it's like keywords that you would have to plug in, but that's where your the thinking part, that's where in the LLM component, that's where that would go.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, Stephen?
Hey, Kajal, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
So I'm just kind of wondering, what's it charging you for? Is it charging you for the amount of tokens that it uses to kind of summarize? Is that the charge?
Yes. So
Okay.
that's the charge. How many tokens are based on like how lengthy your content is, right? Like it's all character based. So that's what it charges you on.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Any other questions?
I have another one.
Yeah.
Is it easier then just to maybe, if I cover, I don't know, Disney, then of these articles, hey, send me anything that if it mentions Disney, like, is that a more effective way to use this?
So this is very, remember when I talked about, let me go back to the scenario. So that would be part of your scenario. You really want to nail down like all of the resources, all of the data. And let's say you are finding, there's an RSS feed that does have Disney content, but some other as well. That's where I would put that in your LLM. Maybe you can even like put it in your instruction, like when you're evaluating this RSS feed, I only want you to pick up Disney related articles. So like I said, anything that requires a thinking part, that needs to go into your LLM instructions.
Thank you.
I had a question, Kajal.
Yes, Barb.
This is very new to me, gang. So my question is very rudimentary. But when you're playing around with this, are there classic places where you might, where most people might go, like make common mistakes, go in infinite loops, things like that, or not put the right, like an LLM in or something like that? Is there a structure that we are, a checklist that we kind of have to have in our head as we're creating this?
So let me see. I didn't save my LLM, but I can start a scenario real quick. So
You know what I mean?
Yes, like what if something breaks and how do I know what I need and why it broke? Okay. Is that did I understand you correctly?
Yeah, because a million years ago when I was writing, in high school, when I was writing programs and stuff like that, I'd always get stuck in these infinite loops.
Mm-hmm.
And it would take a while. Now, it's been a long time since I was in high school. So I just wanted to know if there's anything that I should be, kind of preemptively doing to avoid those kinds of things.
So my advice is to like, first of all, like again, figure out like your recipe, right? Like what exactly are you cooking? And then what are the ingredients that you need? And build a workflow. Generally, it'll help you out. It'll have like asterisks here, right? And if you don't have something filled out, it'll tell you like why this module is not going to work. It'll prompt you back. This module is not set up. That's what the UI looks like in make.com. Also, as you are building your workflow, you can constantly run it up until where you have built. And that's also another place where it'll flag if one of your modules are broken. It'll stop working after that, and then you can like dig into it and see like, okay, what do I need to update? What do I need to change? But everything depends on first you mapping out what you're actually building. So like Give me an example that you might be working on, like updating a spreadsheet or something.
Sure.
So if you are updating a spreadsheet, right, you will obviously connect your automation tool to your Google account. You'll say like, this is my spreadsheet, and you will have to specifically call out the fields that it needs to update.
Okay.
So those fields will have to be called out. It'll figure out like what's in that spreadsheet, and then you get to select like, this needs to get updated. If a form is filled out, for example, let's say you want your spreadsheet to update as soon as a form is filled out. Let's say you missed a field and a form got updated as you're testing it. It will, when you run it, you will be able to see what got updated and what didn't. So if you didn't select a field that needed to get updated when you're running the example here, 1 second. When you hit run here, it'll say like, this value was empty, or there's an error. It'll flag you. But again, it is all dependent. Like, you need to know exactly what needs to get updated. So it's very detail oriented, especially when it comes to spreadsheet, right?
Right.
Selecting the tab, the fields, like you need to call all of that out. That's why it's really important to have your scenario, your data, and the tools mapped out before you go out and build an automation.
Okay. Thanks. I'm glad I get a dialog box every time.
Yes, it'll flag like what's incomplete in the module. And let's say even if you have everything, like everything's in there, I would run it as many times unless you feel like your automation is perfected, and only then I would save an automation. So there are a number of ways to see, like, did I cook what I needed to cook? Keep running it until it perfects itself.
Okay. I'm game to try.
I'm excited for you to try. And I really, really recommend, honestly, like checking out these pre-built
I
templates.
registered for make.com.
Sorry?
I registered for that.
Okay, awesome.
And
I think there are other
PT.
there are other, like, I think other automation tools also have pre-built templates, but I just feel like make.com is pretty beginner friendly. Like, it's big and bold. It'll tell you what you're missing. It won't run until you fail. I'm sure other ones have the same features too, but I just like the drag and drop. You can like easily save, replicate. But I'm not like specifically married to any particular automation tool or anything like that.
Yeah.
Also, I'll add this, when you are looking into when you're looking to uploading like big files, that's also another deciding factor. Orchestration, data privacy, different platforms offer different types of securities as well. And that's what makes each platform different.
Well, I'll just start with ChatGPT and the make.com.
And I believe I think they have like training videos as well, if I'm not wrong.
Okay.
Play around with it, and then you can obviously nudge me at any time if you need any help. I think if you go on help, make.com here, let's see, get started for free. They have courses and everything. So
Perfect.
just start building from an existing pre-built template. And don't be afraid to like get errors, because chances are you will. I get errors too when I'm building something brand new. And if I have a workflow that I need to update the instructions for, you can always go back and update the LLM instructions. So you're constantly like managing this workflow as your process is evolving. And same for agents too. I'm jumping a little ahead, but it's the same thing for agents as well.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being patient with my questions.
No problem. Hopefully I was helpful.
Very.
Any other questions? I think that's a no. But as usual, I will share this deck. And what I'll do is I'll also share some other automation platforms as well. And I'll like write a little summary of like what's good for what. So if you are deciding to not use make.com, you don't have to. There are other tools as well. All right. I think that's a wrap.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks everybody. We will post this video 1 week before the next class. And as I say that, is that going to be on March 2nd? Yeah.
Yes.
So that looks like it is on March 2nd. Understanding automation versus agents. So thanks everybody who came out today, and we'll again subscribe to our YouTube. We're posting these a week before the next one. So the first 4 or 5 will be up on our YouTube. So
Can you post the YouTube channel, please?
absolutely. At CIMAi. There we go. Okay. So it's in the chat.
Thank you.
Of course.
All right. Well, good night, everyone. Have a good dinner.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
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 Thanks.